into the side. Oh, there we are.
Yay!
Hi. Hello, everyone. I'm Sherry Richert Belul, and I'm so happy to be here today with Susan Merz Anderson. And Susan, I just love so many things about our connection. But one of them, let me just say that you are a life coach who helps people find that inner joy, right? Is that, yeah. And Susan and I actually met a gazillion years ago, like maybe 2009. We don't even know. And then we were reconnected in a very magical, mystical way by your niece, Emily. And I'm just so grateful that you were like, yeah, oh, come on and just let's talk. And to preface this, as I've been prefacing everything that I've been doing lately, I am in the midst of some really big, deep grief. I've had several pileups of losses. And I am super grateful that I actually get to be with a number of people, including you, Susan, who understand what grief is. And so you are willing to hop on with me today, and I'm going to let you just take it from wherever you want to start. But we were talking about like that very, very, very important practice of finding little joys within the big grief.
Yeah.
So hi.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It is a delight and a joy, and so cool how we just connected again. We couldn't even plan it that good. It's so interesting, right, to see where your work takes you over, 30 years. And although I have training in life coaching, a background in psychology, I really am not your typical life coach. Part of why I'm interested in joy and what it stands for me is the journey of you. It doesn't stand for, oh, I have to be joyful 24/7 and like, absolutely not. That's just not human and real. And so in the journey of you, there's so many experiences we have as humans. And one of them is incredible loss, especially as we get older, right? I'm in my 60s, and so I've had some significant losses. If we are interested and we allow it, these losses, this grief can literally transform us. And so when you're in that fresh grief, like what you've been describing, a slew of losses, for me, my experience and the people that I get to work with is to allow them the full expression of whatever they're feeling when they can.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And some people might not be interested in this at all, and that's okay too. There's all kinds of ways to be in the world, right? We're connecting because this is something we're both interested in,
Exactly.
right? This connection between the joy and the deep sorrow of being a human being on this planet. To me, I learned so much from my grief. Like I went through this kind of just shitstorm of grief, and I let it absolutely gut me. I was on my knees, and what I learned over time was also that there's the deeper that you can allow the grief, the sorrow, the deeper the joy becomes.
Wow.
And you know this, right? Like when you're in that journey, there's days you're just on your knees gutted. And then there's days when like you see a gorgeous, last night I saw the Northern Lights.
Oh.
It's just like, oh my gosh, it's so joyful. And why is that so joyful? Because I know it can be rainy here this time of year, or right? Like, and you can't even see some of the stars. So it's this whole thing that Rumi talked about, that the wound is where the light enters you.
Yes. Oh.
So that's kind of, just, I mean, I could go on. Oh, I could go on for hours. I love this conversation. But to me, one of the things that's the greatest delight about being human is learning to welcome and befriend all of my experiences, all of my feelings, all of my emotions.
Susan, before I tell you what I love, I want to say hi to Deborah who popped in. And Deborah, I'm here with Susan, and we are talking about finding the little joys within the big grief, or maybe finding the big joys within a little grief, or whatever it translates for each person. But Susan, I love everything you're saying. And of course, I do know from my own life, right, that the depth of the sorrow allows us a greater breadth of joy. It sounds kind of cliche, and yet I know it's true. It changes us and allows a more spaciousness. And I also love that quote, right? That it is the wound where the light gets in. And one of the things that I want to say to you, because it's arising in the moment and it's a spontaneous joy, which is that for me, throughout this period of grief, across the board, anytime I've been in front of a compassionate person like you or my friends or other sort of teachers or coaches or guides, I feel this loving connection that is a quiet joy. It's not like this kind of like glittery balloon kind of joy, but it's a very distinct, I just feel it now as I'm talking to you, right? It's this very distinct, a gratitude meets comfort. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know why I think some of that is we're so conditioned by our culture to not feel the deep sadness and the sorrow, and we believe we're going to drown if we're in it. And in the groups that I run and the people I get to work with in my own experience in my own journey is the more I can just open the little door where I find someone, like you said, some of your friends, someone who we feel it when someone feels safe and right.
Yes.
Then we're not going to be emotionally bruised, right? By actually being real and honest. And, when I had 4 family members die in 4 years, and one was my oldest sister who I was really close to, someone said to me, "Oh, but you're so lucky you have 3 other sisters." Right? Like we hear, and they didn't mean it badly, right?
Of course, no.
It's just one of these things where when someone has actually learned how to be with their loss, they just feel a lot better to be with when you're in your loss because they know how to be present, right?
Oh, you just really said it. I was on the phone with a girlfriend earlier. Hi, Tamara. If you're out there, I know she often watches these. And we were talking about, that people mean well. Oftentimes they mean very well, but there are a lot of things that people say that can really like, oof, they can really hurt when you're grieving. And I was saying to her, one of the biggest gifts already that I have seen within this season, because it has been like one after another, is that I feel like I'm learning so much from people in my life about how to love better. Like it has been phenomenal, like I'm just like each of my friends, I'm like, oh my gosh, you are like, that is so beautiful that you know how to do this, or you know how to do that, the way they know how to be present or to ask gentle questions. And I'm learning, that when the next person arrives in my life who needs that kind of deep love, I'm going to be able to show up better. Yeah.
Yeah. And Sherry, the thing I remember about meeting you, however many years ago it was that we met on that group online, you exude joy, right? You exude playfulness. It's so much a part of your work. And I'm similar. And so then when you're slapped with these losses, especially numerous ones, it kind of, for me, it kind of shook my whole identity because I had friends saying, "Susan, come on, like you need to get out more." And I'm like, "No, actually, I don't. I need to go in more."
Oh,
right? Like I would, and I knew what I needed and I listened to it. But it's it can just rock your whole world, right? And people are so not used to Susan going introverted, and not being like the life of the party sometimes, right? Like but it's powerful when we just allow ourselves to be authentically how we are in the moment when we can. Like, I get it. Like if I'm angry, I'm probably not going to scream in the grocery store, but I will in my kitchen. I'll just be like, "Oh, I'm so frustrated." And I've learned not to put that at people, to own my anger and to feel it. But to me, this is the connection between joy and all these It's like joy's the mother. To me, joy's like the mother, and it has all these children that are just waiting for attention, and it doesn't have to be a big deal. I think people think it's such a big deal to learn how to feel your loss and feel your grief. To me, I talk in my work, people laugh. It's like, take your emotional dumps. Every day we got to take physical dumps. And so when you feel an emotional dump coming on, go in the bathroom if you need to, whatever you need to do, and allow that, because research shows emotions actually only last 90 seconds. Everything after that is story, and that's okay too. We're human.
I love this. Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm so excited.
No, please. Yeah.
I'm so excited by what you're saying, because one of the things that I've been doing, I've been scheduling 3 calls, morning, noon, and night, basically, with friends that I know can be with this. And those are my times that I take walks while I'm talking and just grieve.
Yeah.
And it's not that it doesn't come on other times. Of course it does. And if I'm not like right now, like in the middle of something that I'm doing with someone, I will just lie on the floor and cry. But I think, to your point, and I've heard other grief experts talk about this, that there's nothing wrong with actually scheduling time that we know we have full freedom and full permission to be with anything that wants to come up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. So, because one of the things that I've been noticing, just to your point of the authentic feelings come, and at first it just feels like, oh, this is going to go on for this entire hour of this phone call. But inevitably, at some point we're laughing about something, or, I'm asking them about something, because there's not that actual drowning that most of us, I think, get told.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I used to feel that way. I was like repression central from the time I was 13 and my parents got a divorce, and it was a shock. I was like, this will not affect me. That was my vow. I worked so hard to repress every single a hard emotion, really, until I was in my early 30s, and I started doing some art therapy, and it helped me to first start to feel in my life. And you're absolutely right. We think that we're going to drown. And I've worked with so many people, and I run grief groups also. And our subtitle is Crossing the Rivers of Life. I do grief groups with a colleague of mine. And because it's like we're in this river, the river's always flowing in all these different ways. Not how can we stay in the story of it. We do need to tell our story, and that's absolutely fine. But it's like, how do I actually learn to flow through grief and loss?
Wow.
And then to me, that's a grief group, but it's expands to our whole lives. How do I actually teach my children and my partner and my friends and myself to be with all these things that we all experience, right? And as you start flowing it, you become unconstipated. And to me, the joy, it's like electricity, right? It's always, look at children. They're just joyful, unless they've had major trauma. They're such joyful creatures. It is like the electricity in my house. It's always in me. It just gets clouded over the more constipated I am emotionally, right? And so the more I can just let these layers, and like you said, find people in my life who I can feel like they can hold that space, right? It's like you become unconstipated, and the joy just, right? And I don't have to happy or joy shame myself either. If I'm feeling like crap, I'm going to be feeling like crap. And I'm going to be really honest about it. Right.
And what I love about this, and I feel compelled to say, is that also there are different moments. So I don't think I would have been having the same conversation with you last week or the week before, because I was much more just in the sort of more near constant right now. And I may be there again tomorrow or this afternoon or 5 minutes from now.
Yes.
However, like, I just wanted to say that it's like when we're talking about accessing these moments of joy, there's kind of a grace involved in a way, right? Like, I do think what
Mm.
we're talking about is first and foremost, feel your feelings, express whatever you need to express. Don't shame yourself. Find people you trust, right? There's certain parameters that I feel like then allow for the best chance for us to find those glimmers of joy, even when it's the most unimaginable. There have been moments where I just would never have thought, oh, there's going to be joy on this walk this morning.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
grace happens.
Yeah. And like, I wouldn't, even with someone who's in fresh grief, I wouldn't start the conversation. Like you just said, there's times I have friends that have lost their children. That's, to me, the toughest loss I can imagine. I would never start a conversation about, let's find your little sparks of joy, right? Like,
Of course.
it's all about timing too, and listening and being sensitive. And I love what you're saying, Sherry. Like, you allow yourself times where it's like, I'm not looking for sparks of joy. I'm just gutted right now. I'm so sad, or I'm so angry, and because the joy lives within us, it'll come up when we're ready. Like, there's no pressure, there's no hurry. Yeah.
And I think, I don't know if you know this aspect of my story, but many people who know me, I use an expression, pinpricks of light. And that came from a very, 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 very depressed time of my life where it felt like an iron wall was closing in.
Mm-hmm.
And I had one of those moments of grace where there was a moment of well-being that felt like a pinprick of light in that iron wall.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, for me, that has been my guiding force for 30 some years, that it's like, it's okay. Like, I know enough now to know. And I think this is why I wanted to have this conversation with you, because there's a lot to be said for knowing the possibility of that pinprick of light exists. Even if there's not even like, even if in the moment it's just, I'm just under it. To me, that single moment changed my entire life.
Yeah.
Because before then, I didn't even think it was possible. I just thought, this is me. I'm in the dark. I'm always going to be in the dark. And grief feels like that. Grief often to me feels the similar way. Like, it's all encompassing. I can't even imagine. But now I have in the back of my head, there's a pinprick somewhere. And maybe it's not even today. Maybe it's tomorrow or next week.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Love that. That's such a beautiful way of, in one of the pinpricks that you spoke to, I heard, you didn't say it like this, but, and that's to me why joy and sorrow are so connected, is that when we can find someone who we can just bawl our eyes out with, or, just tell them about whatever, that's, to me, these tears, whenever anyone gifts me with their tears of sorrow and deep sadness, it's a connection. It's like glue. So to me, the vulnerability, when it's safe, of a full permission for full expression, that's what glues us together.
Yes.
Right. And so it's the joy and the sorrow, to me, they're like this, like they are just absolutely connected.
Yeah, it's the movie Inside Out, right? So
yeah.
I mean, when I say that, that's often a shorthand. I think most people who have seen the movie at least understand that joy and sorrow, the way that they fit together. And I love, Susan, so much that it's like, I know we've only got a few minutes left here, but I really want to say, like, I appreciate so much that you and I connected at a time where, I mean, it feels like we were much younger. I don't know if we really were, but we probably were. So many years ago.
On some level, we were.
And that, this is part of this word connection for me, throughout my life has been very, very important, but particularly in grief. And so the idea that it's like, I could say to you, hey, will you come and connect with me and let's talk about this, not even knowing what we're going to say. And you were just like, yeah, I will. I'll be there when. Yeah. That's, I think, a lot of what we're talking about, like that connection where suddenly there's this big hole, right? Like I've got these many actually, these holes, and yet deeper connections happening also, which is like magic in a way.
Yeah. 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 And it reminds me, I'm going to show you, I have this little disco ball.
Okay.
And the reason I have it on, you can see it on a bigger Zoom
Yeah.
screen in my office. I remember hearing this quote, a disco ball is hundreds of pieces of broken glass. And when you're in grief, you really can feel like you're broken and you might not be okay. And you're just, you can feel so incredibly gutted. But what happens with this ends up when you have all these broken pieces,
Oh,
right? It's this magical ball of light. And so the reason I have this right in my little Zoom office is because I used to think I was broken, and I don't believe that anymore. I don't believe it about anyone. I believe that when we can take these pieces that feel broken, and we find spaces and places that feel safe, and that we can actually just be our authentic selves, we end up becoming these disco balls that
oh,
spread all this joy and light in the world, and that also hold spaces for, yeah, tell me about your grief, tell me about your loss, tell me
yeah.
about your anger. We're gifted. We are gifted when we get to listen and hold space for that.
And what's so beautiful, I love that. I might have to get myself a disco ball and copycat you. But what I also love about that is that it's a mirror,
Yeah.
which is the
Yeah.
second really beautiful thing. So it's like all of that light, it feels to me like it's two-way, you know.
Yes.
And so
Absolutely. I
yeah,
love it. I love it that you added that. That's great,
yeah,
Sherry.
I just saw that when you were saying that. And
Yeah.
oh, Susan, I thank you so much.
Mm.
This is just the perfect example of exactly what we're talking about, right? Like, I know we haven't talked to each other in years and years. Here you show up in my life during this time of grief. We decide to get in just have a conversation, and my heart is lighter. My
Mm.
heart is lighter
Mm.
from
Mm.
having been in your presence, from what you've said, from the disco ball, from the butterfly, right? It matters. And I think that that's the last word I would like to say, is just to never forget how much we matter when we show up.
Yes. And it's on your hat. Live, love,
Oh,
matter.
it is.
And I would add feel, feel.
Thank you. I forgot. Yes. Did you have a last word? If you wanted to take a moment, what would your last word want to be?
I think my last word is, well, thank you. Thank you for opening your heart. And you gift everyone when you're willing to share, what you're going through in little ways that you can. Um, and I think I just want to give people hope that I used to think I would drown in it. And I've discovered I don't have to drown in it. I can just little by little open my heart. And that's really what this is all about. It's like opening our hearts, connecting with people. And to me, that's like one of the meanings of life for me, is this word connection. And I don't want to just have to be happy, slappy, pretend like all these masks, right, in our culture. I actually want to have authentic, real conversations like this because they're beautiful. So thank you.
Oh, me too, Susan. Me too. I hope we can do this again and we'll have a whole different topic, or maybe the same one. Who knows?
Sounds great.
I
Thanks
was,
for what you're doing in the world.
thank you for what you're doing in the world. Mwah. Till
Take
next
care.
time. And thank you to anyone who is listening now or in the future. Know that you're loved, know that you matter. Yeah.